The rest of the story. In the early 1990s, Jason Maxwell was on top of the world. Yet, like so many before him, the dizzying heights of fame were followed by a sudden, unexplained fall. In an interview with his longtime friend Charlie Green, Jason confessed that despite the accolades, he was struggling beneath the surface. People think you've made it when you're at the top, but man, they don't know how close I came to losing it all, he said, staring out the window as though he could see the past unfold right before him. The pressures of being in the limelight, the weight of expectations, and an increasingly demanding schedule began to take their toll. Jason's career, which had once soared, started to spiral. He became withdrawn, his performances erratic, and soon the phone stopped ringing with offers. Those who had once celebrated his infectious energy now whispered about his sudden, mysterious decline. One day, while preparing for yet another press conference he had grown to dread, Jason received a call. It was from his old friend and mentor, Greg. "You don't have to do this, Jason," Greg said, his voice steady and kind, like a rock against the storm. "You've given so much to the world, but right now you need to give to yourself. You're not alone in this." Jason sat in silence for a moment, overwhelmed by the gravity of the words. He had heard the encouragement, but the fear was louder than anything else. The thought of losing everything was too much. In that moment, though, he knew something had to change. "I don't know where to begin," Jason replied, his voice shaking. "Start by taking a break. We'll handle the rest. Just take care of yourself. You owe it to yourself." And so Jason stepped away from the limelight. For years he kept out of the public eye, attempting to rebuild not only his career but also his spirit. The media often speculated about his whereabouts. Rumors of addiction and personal battles swirled. Yet Jason, or rather the man who had once been Jason Maxwell, faced his inner demons in private. One quiet afternoon, as the years rolled on, a new opportunity knocked. A director who had once worked with him on a late-night sketch comedy show reached out, suggesting that he return to the stage for a smaller project. A low-key personal production with no expectations, only room for growth. "Think of it as therapy," the director said as they met over coffee. Jason was hesitant. Could he handle the pressure again? Would the audience still want to see him? Would they remember the man they'd once loved? But something inside him clicked. He hadn't realized it at the time, but the years away had given him perspective. What the world didn't know was that Jason had fought harder for his own peace than he had ever fought for fame. Perhaps it was time to show them that story too. A few months later, he stepped on stage once more. The performance was raw, real, and vulnerable. Gone was the polished, confident actor who had once played to the crowd with ease. In his place stood a man with a new understanding of life. A man who had learned to rise after falling. A man who had rebuilt himself piece by piece. When the show ended, the audience stood and clapped. Not for the famous name, but for the man who had found his way back. There was no grand standing ovation, no explosive headline. Instead, it was a quiet, heartfelt acknowledgement of resilience. "I didn't think I had it in me," Jason said backstage, looking at himself in the mirror. "But I had to dig deeper than I ever thought possible." And now, for those of you who remember the television shows, the laughs, and the charm of a man who once captivated the nation, you'll understand that the name Jason Maxwell was never quite who he truly was. The person who fought through his darkest times, who conquered his personal battles, was none other than Tony Slattery. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story.